So I've recently discovered I'm autistic, and I've discovered there's something new for me, which is a concept called autistic masking, and that's something that's been talked for decades in autistic communities. And it turns out that it's something I was not aware of. It's something that's not very mainstream and very well accepted yet in mainstream psychological communities, and it's basically the thing that is very common with autistic people and clashing with neurotypical people, so kind of the normal people, the non-autistic people. And the clash is in autistic people being divergent. Okay, one further term is neurodivergent, so somebody who is neurodivergent, so neurally, in the brain is different from the norm. And the default interventions that are given to autistic people who have generally problems socializing and fitting in, because they are different. And the what happens basically is what always happens, and this happens both in a professional setting, so say teachers, psychologists, and in a more in unfamiliar setting, so peers, friends, child, schoolmates, family, siblings, things like that. So basically the whole social universe of the autistic person, pretty much all you are always given is some form of you need to hide your autistic traits in order to not make us neurotypical people uncomfortable. And that's kind of a blunt way to put it, but I think it's kind of correct. I'll explain more of that later. The more subtle way will be neurotypicals going there to, in an informal setting, either bully the autistic child for being different, or they will, in the more well-meaning ones, they will be like seeing these and they will be like telling to the autistic child, this is what you need to be accepted, and like giving social scripts of what to say, how to look, how to behave. And or they will be like, and autistic individuals, they are different, so they're not really fitting in, so they will be told like lines of, okay, you want to be yourself, but the world needs rules. Without rules we'll just be out there killing everybody and robbing each other. And it's like, just when you put clothes, it's not like you can just go in the middle of the room and take off your clothes and poop in the middle of the lecture room while we're taking an exam and just be complaining, oh, but people should be accepting me the way I am. And so these very obvious sort of remarks, which are very belittling, because it turns out that autistic people are not probably trying to tell you that, oh, I want to get all my clothes off and poop in the middle of a classroom while I'm taking an exam, just to show I'm so different and so unique and to make you uncomfortable. It's just that most likely we have something that we feel is important to say and something that is very important to us, and we just want to express it. And we are met with all these sort of dismissive remarks, and what we learn is basically masking. What we learn very early on in life, and that continues all our life, is a system of social reward and social punishment, where we are rewarded for masking and punished for unmasking. So what happens to the autistic child is, whenever you actively work in suppressing what you think, feel, and so on, particularly on things that are important and valuable to you, you have people praise you for, oh, see, you can do it. We knew you can do it. Anyway, you have this social reward for oh, now we like you because you don't sound like you. And you also have the system of punishment, which come again both from the evil spirited ones, the bullies, and the well-meaning ones, the parent, the siblings, the friends, who are like, oh, but nobody will like you if you don't change, and then yeah, nobody will like you if you look like that, and everybody is uncomfortable if you are like that. And so we have this basically lifelong experience of feeling that there is this super strong connection between the more you shut up. This is actually when, before I knowing what masking was, the expression I had in my head was shut up and get a reward, because I always felt that, for instance, my whole life, friends, family, lovers, school, university, it's always been like that. So again, when I was in school, I was super curious kid. I loved learning. I mean, yeah, I was the kid, give me something to learn, I'll be peaceful and quiet like for a week straight. And I was like, when I went to school, I was like, oh, so there is a place where you're going to learn. I was like, yeah, it's so exciting, it's fantastic. And then I go there, and very quickly realize that nobody that they tell you, oh, we're here, we value learning, we value curiosity, we value critical thinking. And I'm like, yes, I'm so excited because I'm so curious and I'm such a critical thinker, and I love learning so much, I'm doing so much of it. And that they're like, no, no, not like that. Like, why? I'm curious, I just learned something new. No, but no, that part is not in the program. What do you mean? Now, what you have to do is repeat what we told you in the program. And like, okay, fine. Here is. I repeated word by word because I'm very good. I have high intelligence. I have very good memory. I was always super good at memorizing. So I was like, okay, I already memorized what you told me, and I actually found something cool. That is, no. Look, you are being weird right now. It's not in the program. Can you please just shut up and repeat what the other kids are saying? And I'm like, okay, but like, I mean, I just have something. No, Daniel, you have to understand that there are rules, and you have to repeat this. And okay, I repeated it, but could I? No. If people are just doing this, what do you think we do? We can just go out and without taking our clothes off and pooping in the classroom? No, and like, no, I didn't want to take off my clothes. I didn't want to poop in the classroom. What I wanted to say is, teacher, can you just shut up and repeat what the other kids are saying, and then we will give you good grades. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Okay, here's the repetition of what I always say. I shut up, I'm not saying anything, and whatever. Oh, finally, you're not giving problems. Here's an A plus. See, pat on the shoulder. We told you you could do it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So this shut up, get rewarded has, in school, university, dating, family, always been there. It's always been clear in my life. The more I shut up, the more I repeat what other people are saying, the more I am socially rewarded. I have also learned through all my life, the more I don't do that, I'm socially punished. My greatest humiliations in life, rejections, heartbreaks, disappointment, failures have all unilaterally stemmed from letting myself leak out too much and being not not doing this, which now is called masking, and the punishment for not doing that has been severe. So I do know very well that social rewards for masking are high. Social punishment for unmasking is very very high as well. And so this is just been my life experience. And before knowing, actually, I was autistic because I did not. I mean, I did know about autism, and it's just that it wasn't very relatable to me because the description of what autism is, how autistic people behave, what they think, what they feel, what helps them to feel better, it is being written by neurotypical people. So it's actually being written by the people who were all the time telling me, "Oh, shut up and get a reward," and they were patting themselves on the shoulders and writing like, "Okay, autistic people are get better by when we teach them how to shut up and get a reward properly." And in a professional setting, this is exactly what happens as well. Again, whether it is teacher, whether it is therapists, it's psychologists. There is wrote a different, sent a different video about this false consciousness theory and how it affects psychology in general, really, because it's a really generalized problem. I was writing about this false consciousness problem in psychology before all of this, knowing I'm autistic and everything. But basically, the thing is that psychologists in general have this attitude of we know best, and patients are basically too stupid to understand what they really want and feel and think, and so they have all these well developed theories about why. For instance, they have this well, oh, but people have childhood trauma which is unaddressed, and because of that they go into denial, and therefore if we are there and say there is this autistic person and we tell them, oh, this is what you think and feel, and they're like, no, I think you're full of bullshit. Oh, see, this is how full of denial they are, and therefore evidence that your theory doesn't make sense is taken as, oh, I am such a great psychologist and I'm so cool and so wonderful. I need to pat myself on the shoulder so much, and what the autistic person is saying is just thrown out of the window entirely. So in a professional setting, basically what is done with autistic people is things like cognitive behavioral therapy, social skill training, and these sort of things, which in itself it's not bad at all. I mean, if there is something that's actively damaging, ability to socialize and things like that, that makes perfect sense, to teach a certain skill. But the problem is it never takes into consideration the actual perspective of the autistic person. It never takes into consideration whether or not the autistic person actually feels better afterwards, or do they feel worse. Because again, there is this false. The problem with false consciousness psychology is that it's such a vicious circle. And once you accept, there is this actually funny anecdote about psychoanalysis, and this neuropsychologist and Andrew Gerber, who wrote this describe, and he was also a psychoanalyst, and wrote this funny quote about his supervisor telling him, when he questioned the scientificity of psychoanalysis, and said, don't worry, just do more analysis and it will cure you of the need to do research, which describes kind of well the attitude that the mainstream psychology has on against, oh, if we do science, people will find out that we are full of bullshit, and therefore we should not do science. But it's such a vicious circle, because once you get into that, anything that the patient is saying basically becomes irrelevant, because the whole it's such a vicious circle that the whole definition of what it means to improve is actually based on the theory itself and not any practical data. So it will be like, oh, this is what helps the autistic person, because basically they are not normal, and we need to teach them how to be more normal so they will be happy. And then you have the autistic person saying, this is actually making me feel worse, and I say, oh yeah, see, this is how not normal you are, so we need to really really make sure that you stop saying this. And then when the autistic person finally stops saying that, regardless of how miserable they are, the psychologist will be, oh, finally a cure, and maybe the autistic person is depressed and maybe trying to think of suicide, which is actually, if you look at the statistic, is like extremely common. Depression and suicidal tendency are extremely common in autistic people, and one of the main reasons is actually this. And so, but so you have something that on paper seems like, if you look at the data, is an objective disaster. So you're having, oh, this person come into the treatment and they're feeling absolutely horrible afterwards. They're telling you they feel horrible. They're telling you how these things is impacting them negatively, and you dismiss it. And once they finally surrender and they say, "Okay, I give up, whatever. I'll just try to do what you want me to do, and I don't care." And the psychologist, "Oh, finally you get it. Finally you're normal, and now you're cured." So it's kind of have two possible outcomes there, which is, you either get what before would call a low functioning autistic person, and or a high functioning autistic person. And I found out there is actually a different term in the autistic community itself for this, which would be high masking autistic person. So the two life outcomes which are described to us basically are, you either learn to mask well, and then you are going to get socially rewarded, which is true. And I would say I am a high masking autistic individual, but I'm someone who is, as I mentioned before, when I am someone who is very effective at learning, and I am quite effective at learning all sort of things actually. So I am kind of the stereotypical young nerd boy, which is like super quite intelligent and super into learning and academic stuff, and can ace all the academic stuff, and is kind of quirky in things regarding to physical motion. So I will be the one who is excellent in math class, and the one who sucks in physical education class, and then got one who is kind of socially awkward. I'm also a person who is very good at learning all sort of things. So it actually turns out that from being, that physically kind of not very skilled nerd guy, I ended up taking martial arts and all sort of physical training, and now part of my income actually comes from activities like personal training or fitness training classes, martial art classes, so things related to physical activity, and I teach people in that. And so I'd say I'm somebody who can fit in pretty well socially as well. I've built a company working with people in a foreign country, and that was very kind of easy, effortless for me, which is, impresses some people, which are like, okay, how did you manage to go into another country without speaking the language, and within a short time be there having a company where you get people coming to you and paying you basically to make work with them, teaching them things, talking to them, being social with them in their language, which you have learned to speak fluently. And it's like, okay, I'm somebody who is very functional, and somebody who can easily fit in, in the people with different social context, different country. I have learned dating, which was actually quite hard for me, because I'm somebody who really doesn't really feel comfortable in this whole social script that comes up with dating. And but at some point, after one heartbreak too much, I felt, okay, I'm really feeling bad about being so incompetent in dating. So I went out and practiced until I was good in dating and had a constant stream of women interested in me. And then I was like, okay, I can't stop, because I don't really care. It was just, kind of to prove myself I can do it. But that's the thing, I can do it. So this whole thing of people coming all my life telling me, oh, but there is actually nothing wrong with you. You can do it. You can get a reward. As long as you learn to shut up and imitate other people, you will be rewarded. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've done it my whole life. It's made me feel like shit, because it always feel like the best thing in my life, the best thing that people always love about me, the thing people reward me most for, is shutting up and imitating somebody else, which makes me feel, wow, what I think and feel is really disgusting. It's really hideous, because the single thing which all my life I've been rewarded for best is shut up, suppress it, and imitate somebody else, which is like kind of the basically the most humiliating thing that people can tell you, because I have actually had these thoughts of, I wish I was like deformed or something, because it was like, okay, people feel they're disgusted by you, but it's like, it's just, it's something you can't change, and that's it. And then it's like it actually feels worse, because you're actually, oh, but you see, it's not like you're deformed or anything. There's really nothing wrong with you. Just don't let your personality to leak out, and you're fine. We love you. Like, wow, thanks. Why actually you think that's something that's pleasant to hear? So, okay, one of the things that is a possible outcome is the high masking autistic person like myself, who is like, yeah, I know I can fit in, I know I can get the social reward, and it's making me feel absolutely horrible. Thank you all for patting me on my shoulder and telling me how happy I am by now that, oh, you finally did it, we helped you to achieve what you always wanted, and now we're patting you on your shoulder because you are masking well, and you're awesome, and we love you, and okay, whatever. And the other outcome is the low masking, low functioning autistic person who doesn't learn to mask effectively. And what may happen is that they may start to get extreme levels of social anxiety, because they still do the masking. And it's actually, statistics shows that up to 94% of autistic people are doing masking as a survival mechanism, which is like, again, this blows your mind. 94%. And we've been telling about this so much, and always talked about it and how bad it makes us feel. And basically the entire intervention for autistic people is, oh, but you could learn to mask. It's like, okay, a weird and complicated ones which nobody understands. Go figure. Anyway, so the low functioning outcome would be the person who is trying to mask so badly that they start to basically question in their mind every single line they say, every single gesture they say, because that's actually kind of what it is for an autistic person. So, okay, for instance, for me, the most important masking method is not let my excitement come out too much, because I'm somebody who is incredibly enthusiastic and incredibly creative. I wrote tons of books, I created tons of contents. Most of it is not published because I don't really even care that much about publishing, but if I like published everything that I've written, I would have like published like probably, I don't even know, maybe 25 books, something like that. So it's like I have so much content, so much ideas, so much enthusiasm about things. So I will be like in a social context and be like, oh, I just got some excited about something new, and then I realize, okay, wait, this is not the appropriate uh, time, it's not the appropriate context, it's not the appropriate people, or maybe it is, but you still have the, monitor constantly, okay, is this the appropriate people, is this the appropriate time, is this am I using the appropriate voice of tone, because autistic people will have, oh, I'm saying something interesting, and the neurotypical people will be, oh yeah, but you are supposed to make eye contact in this way, and you are supposed to have this sort of posture, and you are supposed to now put a joke, and I made a joke, and now you're supposed to laugh. So all these sort of scripts that neurotypical have in their mind, which autistic people do pick up on, it's just that most of us don't really care, not necessarily in the sense that we are evil and complicated. It's just that We are more like, okay, you're making eye contact in that way, and that's kind of interesting. What's interesting about me is that I just come up with a new book which is called like this and talks about this character. And we realize that, oh, no, that's wrong. What you are supposed to do right now is to reply to my eye contact with eye contact of 3 seconds and then make a joke and smile. And so you are like constantly, trying to monitor on what you say, what you do. And when you are high masking, you do it well. So kind of basically, the success measurement from neurotypical for autistic people is, oh, you actually don't look autistic, we can accept you, so you're successful. And it's like, okay, thanks again. And shoulder pat, because, oh, the script says, oh, I'm supposed to pat you on the shoulder now and tell you how great that makes me feel. So thank you, that makes me feel so great. Awesome. So if you're low functioning, the pressure of this constantly putting an effort on trying to fit in, what it will create is that it cripples you, because you'll start thinking of, okay, I'm monitoring the eye contact, I'm monitoring the inflate my tone, I'm monitoring my posture, I'm monitoring what I say, I'm monitoring how I breathe, I'm monitoring how fast I speak. Am I good enough now? Is this decent? Have I just now suddenly spoken in a tone which is too different? Have I looked in a direction which is too weird? And it just becomes in the way too much that you end up maybe just not even wanting to have any friend, because it's just like either you just can't do it, you just don't, you're not high functioning enough to be like that, and you are not or it just creates so much pressure that you're just drained of energy and burn out and cannot function and things like that. So either way, but the problem is the whole idea that masking is the solution, simply because oh, if you are high masking, if you are successful in masking, we will reward you, is so neurotypical centric perspective, which never takes into consideration the perspective of what autistic people are actually saying. In fact, it's actively dismissing of it, because again, this false consciousness dogma which dominates common sense and therefore society and psychology, unfortunately. So it's like neither outcome is really good, because what you have is, again, either you become successful at masking and feel bad because you have doing the masking, and you feel a lot of self-loathing and a lot of disconnection and a lot of loneliness, or you uh, become very poor at masking, and you end up very miserable and lonely as well. So it's like it doesn't really even make that much of a difference. And the thing is that for, most simply for autistic people, what helps is taking off the pressure of masking in itself.